Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo. And in this episode, we are going to take a look at Flatiron. I'm going to let you know how it plays. I'm going to tell you what I think about it solo. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you haven't, really do appreciate that support. Thank you very much. So, what are you trying to do in this this game? Well, you're trying to build this building right here. And this building is of historic significance in New York, and it's built between these couple of streets over there. It's just called the Flatiron Building. Originally, the Tay Fuller Building. Okay, so anyway, this is a semi-engine building game kind of thing with some interesting worker placement constraints and a very tight experience. So how does the game play? On your turn, you, in this case, this is me, the green figure, have to move to 1 to 5 spaces. There are different streets printed on this board. And when you go to those streets, you can either buy the card for $2. I think there's some that are also $1. Yeah, there's $1 cards too. You can buy the card, and then you can place that card in your player board, effectively building an engine. But there's a rule on the player board that you can have no more than 3 cards total in each of the streets, okay, which would give you basically 5 total actions potentially, all right? That also includes these City Hall cards, which are endgame bonus cards too. And so those can be played, and when you play a card, you can play them on the bottom, basically hiding the top spot, or on the top, hiding the bottom spot. And that is how you will, take these dual action cards and turn them into a single action. The other thing you can do in your turn is go to one of those roads and activate all the actions that correspond to, for instance, Fifth Avenue. So if I move my guy over here to Fifth Avenue, I would do this action, then this, then this, then this. And I can skip any of them, but I can't do them in any order. I have to do them top to bottom, okay? And so that is what you're doing. The other thing you could do is you can go to City Hall, and in City Hall, you could pay $3 for one of these endgame bonus cards. You can activate this particular newspaper. It's just basically just an action, just like anything else. Or you can take $2, and you can always take $2 if you want to just forfeit your action no matter what. Now, the whole goal of the game is to build this tower, okay, or this building. And the general rules of building it are you have to purchase these pillars or these columns in the 4 different colors. And when you build them onto some of these spaces that you can see this one's already built on, all 3 of them are filled up, they have to be of different colors. That's the general rule. But as you can tell from this floor right here, there are ways that that rule will break. This one allows you to build a pillar of the same color, for instance, on that space when we build it. And after you complete that, you're going to go to this action over here, and that is going to allow you to put another floor on there and score you points. Now, you get points for building the different color pillars, and they are worth different points depending on which board you have here. So I'm just playing. Right now, this is the solo or the opponent right here, the bot, and this is me. And there are 4 different action tiles, and they're actually double-sided. And so the different sides also have more complex things that they do if you play on the green side versus the purple side. But I'm just playing the purple side here. All right, and so the game ends immediately when you put basically the roof on the building. Then the game's over and you score points. Now, how do you actually work the bot? The bot works like this, and it's the bot's turn actually, so I will show you. You flip over a card, the bot will go to the street it says right here, in this case 23rd Street. It, unlike you, is not constrained by the idea that you cannot go to the same space, which you didn't mention earlier, that the other player is going. If it goes to your space, in fact, it gets 2 points. And if it triggers, or you trigger this little white token here, this is the paperboy, and the paperboy will replace this active newspaper and give you one as well if the bot triggers it. If I trigger it, I get to choose which one I want, put the one over here, and then keep the other one, okay? Now, once it goes to that spot, then it is going to do what the action says. In this case, it wants to place a white pillar on this tower, but it can't because there's no space for it and a white pillar has already been used. So instead, it would do its secondary action, which would be this action right here, which gains it 1 point for every prestige icon that's listed. Now, it's ambiguous in the rules. I have to clarify this. If this actually counts as one of those prestige things, and I don't think it does, because it says if the color of that pillar is already present, or there's active floor contains 3 pillars, then Daniel, who is your opponent, earns as many VPs as the popularity points he accumulates with his revealed cards. Well, I don't know if this counts as a popularity point or not. It doesn't seem to, based on this example, which is the alternate. So I would say it does not. So in this case, he gets 0 points, which is fine because his bot is ridiculously challenging, just like the ones from the White Castle. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So that's it. That's his turn is over. But if he ever draws the second card of the same street of the main action over here, he's going to actually take that card, put it over here for scoring at the end of the game for free. And if he does that again, you're going to still take the card, you still do the actions, but then you shuffle his deck up and he has 9 cards. So it's actually pretty easy to run his bot. The only thing this is out here for is to tell you the value of his pillars. None of these other actions matter, and none of these cards matter. All right, so now it's my turn, so I can decide to go anywhere, but I can't stay where I'm at. That's another rule. And I can't be in the place he is, and that's both being 23rd Street at this point. Now, what I want to do is I want to build this floor because it keeps the game going, but also because I get a bunch of points. So when I do that, I got to move to 5th Avenue, which is right here. And then I get $1. Then I can spend $5 to build that next floor. So here's my $5. I put the floor on top, like so, and that reveals 3 new spots of bonus and 3 new places to put the pillars. I skipped over the idea of buying an orange pillar because I needed to spend the money for the floor. And then I get $2 more, and that's my turn. Now, if I wanted to, I could do this action here for the newspaper, but I'm not going to do that. So then it goes back to him. He gets a Broadway card, so he's going to move to Broadway. He has not had 2 Broadways, so he's not going to put that down there. But he is going to buy that card, but he is going to put a brown in this spot, and he is going to get the number of points for brown, which is 1 plus 1, which is 2 points. That puts him at 52. Comes back to me, and let's see, I've got $2. This allows me to put down cards or tiles that I've already built. If I wanted to, put the brown out there, I could do that. But really what I'd like to do is go to Broadway, but he is already there, so I can't do it. So I wanted to activate this. That's not going to let me. So instead, I think the best thing to do would be to... $2 is really kind of a rough rub there. I could do this and hedge a little bit, because that brown, I would be able to do that later. So why don't I go to 22nd Street here, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to 22nd Street, but I'm going to buy the card. So this costs 2. So I buy the card and I put it over here. Notice 22nd Street card is not, or 22nd Street has cards of any type that they all do. So they all kind of mix up. So now my action's better next time I go to 23rd Street. We go back to him now. He draws a 5th Avenue card. Good, he's staying away from me so he doesn't score extra points. And this says gain this number of points based on the number of prestige little tokens it shows. And here's 1, so he's going to gain 1 point. Now back to me. The guy got out of the way of Broadway. But the problem I have here is I would need money to place it down, and I just decided to spend my money for the card. So I'm going to go to, whoops, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go to 23rd Street instead, and I'm going to activate all these. So it's $2 here. I'm going to spend $1 to get a white pillar. Now you can sell that in a different action if you want, if you get constrained or you need the money. And sometimes you have to do that. I'm going to get the $2, and then I'm not going to be able to activate this, unfortunately, because this basically gives me a point if there is a white pillar on the active floor. All right, so you can kind of see how this is going. He's going to go to City Hall, and he would normally try to put a floor down there, but since there is no floor, he is going to take a City Hall card. And when he takes the City Hall card, he is just going to, I think it just doesn't specify. Let me just see. If the active floor is shuffle the available cards, draw one at random. So he's just going to take one of these random cards, and this will score him some points at the end of the game because for every card that he has, he gets 1 point for the cost of each of the cards. Okay, so we'll put these back out. All right, and now I'll take one more turn here. I have some money. I'd like to do the Broadway move, so I'm going to move to Broadway. I get 1 point for every 2 floors. There's 4 floors here, so that gives me 2 points. 1, 2, because of this action. I'm not going to buy another pillar, but I am going to pay the $1 to place any pillar that I want on the board. And in this case, it's going to be this white one. And it's going to give me 2 points plus the 1 is 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I have a card here I can pay and to put another one down, and it could even be the same color. So this is going to be here. It's going to give me 2 points plus the $2. 1, 2. And I've now finished that floor, and I'm going to get $2 more. So you can see how a well-timed, nice, tight action can give you a lot of points and a lot of money. All right. So I'm going to quit right there. But basically what happens, as I said, you're going to keep going until you place this. As soon as you place this, the game ends. Then you're going to add up the points that he scored from his cards over here and any points that you have from your cards. You're also going to deal with these popularity. They're like public opinion kinds of things that have to do with the end game scoring. And that is going to also affect your score. But I'm not going to get into that too much because I don't think it's necessary for you to know the whole deal with that. Anyway, that's what the game's like. Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it. So I didn't go over everything. The way the cards cycle when you put down when you build the floor, I didn't kind of show that, even though I should have. It just basically takes all the cards that are on the top, puts on the bottom. That reputation thing, if you have a positive reputation in each of the 4 spots, you will get points. If they're negative, you'll lose points, etc. And then, of course, the nuances of the gold cards, which are put into play at the end of the game. But I think you get a good idea of what's going on here. This is a very interesting, very tight game. Your engine that you set up is a very straightforward yet semi-complex thing because, yeah, obviously you want to put 3 cards in as soon as you can for these spots. But if you spend too much time, you're going to overextend yourself on the money. You have to lose some of your turns just getting money. If you don't have things in the right order, it might be tough to pay for what you're trying to do. If you do have things in the right order, you might be able to self-fund some of these action loops, etc. And also, you might want the card, like I said, showed there earlier, but the guy's right in that spot. I can't get it. In addition, you have an idea of where they could potentially go because there are 2 cards in the opponent's deck for every street. So if it's gone to, let's say, 23rd Street twice, I can go to 23rd Street without worrying about him going to my spot and getting 2 points. So there's a lot of things to consider in this game in order to be competitive. And I definitely said that this is a very, very tough bot. A bot, these are by the same people who did Red Cathedral and White Castle. And although I didn't play Red Cathedral, White Castle had the toughest bot, or the White Castle, and one of the toughest bots I've ever played against. And this one's no different in a lot of ways. However, I can definitely tell that if you really learn how to play this game well, you can be competitive on the bot. I didn't feel like, the bot was scoring a lot, but I also felt like, I can see how I could stay out of his way in some places, and I could see how I can try to outplay him in other places. So I didn't feel like it was ridiculous. But this is a cool game. This really is a cool game. I like little building games like this. Definitely not a game that's going to take too long, although you're looking at 45 minutes probably, maybe a little bit, maybe an hour until you get really good at it. Then it'll go a little faster. It is a narrow focus game. Now, there are a lot of floors that don't come up. So you have 1 out of 4 starting floors. You've got a bunch of the interim floors, etc. And the goals change and everything else. But you have the variability of the different sides. So you can try that too. But what basically it comes down to is you will be playing the same type of game over and over. You won't be able to necessarily try different strategies, so to speak. There will be, I think, ways to play the game cleverly, and that's what you're trying to do. So this is one of those games that you're going to try to master the system in order to beat the bot. And I think that is a fun thing in a game. I don't mind that. Not every game has to be a game where I've got all sorts of different things I can try. Now, I like those games personally in general more than a narrow or focused one. But however, this one seems like it has got something that just makes me want to try again, makes me want to be like, I know I can do better than that. And I like that feeling. The angst comes from wanting the cards you can't buy yet, needing the spaces you can't go to yet. I like that tension. That's fun. So I've got a lot of good things to say about Flatiron. Definitely would be frustrating for you if you don't like to get really, clobbered by an opponent for a while till you figure it out. And for those people who are out there like that, I can totally see them saying, "No, I don't think so. I got taken around the block enough by the White Castle. I don't need to do it again here." However, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here for those who don't mind that. And it's a 1 to 2 player game, so you could, play it if you had someone that would also be able to master the game or you'd be competitive, you would be able to do it. Now, I definitely think this is one of those games where once you're really good at it, you will have a substantial advantage over people who aren't because practice definitely seems to make perfect in this game. So I like that. I like being able to learn something and try to master a system and figure out what to do. But I would not say the game is solvable because every single time you play, the conditions will be different, where you're going to have to figure out how to do the best you can given the circumstances of the board at that moment. So, and the choices don't necessarily seem completely obvious because you're building into your engine in order to try to use it later. So there's going to be, it is definitely not a solvable or an obvious game as far as what to do. So there you have it. I hope this is helpful for you and helps you understand if this is a game that you would be interested in or one that you would rather not build your collection with. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, everybody. And whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy.